It did look very friendly, I must say. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, how friendly it looked. And I said, boy, they look like two people that like each other, and we probably do.
What is up, everyone? It is I, Carlton Flowers, host of the Go Political channel.
Yay!
And we are back. The first video of the new year. Happy New Year. Welcome back. So good to see you all. What better way than to get back on track after a lovely Christmas and New Year's with my family, a much needed break, than to come together after this wild election season and show the best example possible on planet Earth of what we should all follow. So you saw that clip in the introduction, which it was pretty shocking for everyone. It didn't really shock me because, you know what? I really did not fall for 99% of the hype and all of the crazy things that were being said during the election. And so the internet is all set ablaze because of this conversation that was going on while Barack Obama and Donald J. Trump were in attendance at the funeral for Jimmy Carter. And so we're going to talk about this. I want to break it down, and then we're going to reflect. And I'm going to make a few points. And before anyone gets triggered, this video is Democrat friendly. It is Republican friendly, and it certainly is friendly for those of you who are like me that are free thinkers, that don't have to carry a card in your pocket saying which gang you represent. I like to be able to agree or disagree no matter the political party, but to stand on the principles that I believe in. So we're going to jump over here and watch some of these clips. I mean, it's just hilarious. And then we're going to come back and talk about this. So I want to just skip through three different points that I found pretty hilarious and interesting. And then I'm going to give you some key insight and talk about some of the madness that was going down during the election season. And then I'm going to give you the advice that we get from our two leaders. So let's cut to this video real quick and listen in and watch as CNN, which CNN is so dumb. Their reaction to this is just impossible, but let's just watch and I'll skip around.
Obama and Trump sitting next to each other, talking to each other there. But President Obama did say hello to Marilyn Quayle and former Vice President Dan Quayle.
Oh, that's such an image.
That is an image.
It's
I mean,
good,
you don't see it's always striking whenever you see any of these people who were political opponents. Although Obama and Trump never ran against each other.
Now it's kind of interesting because later on in this in the CNN story, the commentator says that perhaps Barack Obama can't stand Donald Trump and he was just tolerating him. Now, did that look like he was tolerating him? Or did they look like they were having a conversation just like two guys in the locker room? Now, let's jump ahead to the 3-minute and 18-second point and watch a little bit more here. Here we go.
Conversations that are happening. These are just moments that you don't see hardly ever. And just to go back to that moment where Trump walked into the room and shook hands with Mike Pence, that is the first interaction that those two have had. They have not even been in the same room in 4 years. I called to just double check that this morning with a few aides of both of theirs, and it just was a moment to see them.
It looks like they're having a very serious conversation right there. It doesn't look like this is all jokes and laughing and games right now. Now he's cracking up there. Look at Bill Clinton. Look at Slick Willie. I did not.
They have not. It truly is extraordinary.
I did not have sex with that woman.
Most of them were in the same room was in 2018 at the funeral of George H.W.
Now, the
Bush.
lip reader said that Barack Obama brought up something that was related to international policy, something about security. And Donald Trump was telling Barack Obama that they needed to have further conversation. And so you can kind of tell there the seriousness on his face at times that they were having a serious conversation. Okay, so it wasn't all just fun and games and laughing and joking, even though I think that's great. I think it's a great thing that after all of that turmoil, after all the comments that were levied back and forth between these two men, that they can sit there and just talk about what's going on in the world, policies, situations, and they can laugh. And then here's Donald Trump making Barack Obama laugh. He's cracking up multiple times while they're sitting there, multiple times, having a good time. So it kind of humanizes Donald Trump, of course, who's supposed to be Hitler, the evil dictator. But they're having a good time laughing it up. Now, let's go forward a little bit. I think there's another portion I want to show that got the most attention on the internet. It's at the 5-minute and 50-second point. And this is a different angle than the one that most people are showing. And it's just funny because you can kind of see Vice President Kamala, and her reaction when she looks back and notices that Barack Obama and Donald Trump are talking and laughing. Here we are.
And as we know, we're thinking as Gerald Ford's son is going to be reading his words, his eulogy for President
So they're all
Carter
serious
here.
and
I was thinking
somber.
this morning, about how Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter both.
Now they're
going to
start talking again.
For coming into office and to
She's
look
like,
at
oh
this
my
career
God,
club here,
why is he
known as the
talking to that
President's Club.
jerk?
So
Why is he
many of
sitting
the
back there and
trajectories of
talking
their
to
presidency
Hitler?
led their
I
successor to
can't
then
stop
get into
watching
office. Biden
the
and
video
Trump.
close-ups
This
with her
moment as
reaction.
Trump and
Okay, so
Obama-
then let's jump forward, and I want to play one more clip from this, and then we're going to talk about this. We're going to go to the 7-minute and 15-second point, and this is going to lead in to a point that I'm going to make. Listen very carefully to what the CNN reporter has to say. The stupid CNN reporter. This is just so dumb. All right, listen carefully.
Said about them by one or another of the people present. Whether somebody saying that Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy, or some of the more vicious things said about Barack Obama and where he was born, and on and on. But it is a funeral, and it is a moment where people try to put aside such grievances for the larger purpose, Anita.
I think you make a good
For the
point
larger
there, Jake,
purpose.
and
What
it-
nonsense.
residents, for him, for his families, everybody was seated. George.
So they continue on to say a couple of other really meaningless things, but did you hear what he said? That Barack Obama's talking to this man who is an existential threat to democracy. Oh my gosh, isn't that incredible? So here's the point that I want to make, and I want you all to think about this. In following the lead of the two leaders, okay? Former President Barack Obama, two-term president, former president and president-elect Donald J. Trump. So while a lot of people sat up in the comment section of my videos arguing, spitting, and full of venom back and forth, arguing about Donald Trump being a threat to democracy, what did it all boil down to? It all boiled down to politics. Nothing but rhetoric during an election season. Someone made a really good comment. They compared the election season to the WWF, to wrestling. So they sit around and they talk tough and they talk bad about their opponent and how they're going to just completely dismember their opponent. They do this fight. It's all scripted. But then behind the scenes, they're best friends because they work together. So here we had this election, and we were told all of these crazy things by this lady right here, and this man right here, and then this woman right here. What did they tell us? Well, they told us that Donald J. Trump is a threat to democracy. They compared him to Hitler. It was brought up several times by the crazed cackling hens on BSNBC that Donald Trump is likened to Adolf Hitler and the Holocaust, which is such a disgusting insult and shows no respect for those who really went through the Holocaust, to insinuate that millions of people will lose their lives if Donald Trump wins the election. What else did they say about him? Well, he's an unhinged, dictatorial madman who is going to arrest, lock up U.S. citizens. He's not just going to deport illegals, but he is going to round up U.S. citizens who have Spanish accents or who are Mexican or other Hispanic backgrounds, and he's going to ship them off no matter what their legal status is. Furthermore, if you watched the crazy bald-head woman on BSNBC, Joyless Reed, she said that he's going to round up Democrats like her and put them in concentration camps. Concentration camps? Are you serious? So they're going to come and knock door to door. Hey, did you vote for Donald Trump? Or did you vote for Kamala Harris? And if you're a Democrat and you said that you supported Kamala Harris, where they're going to snatch you out of your house and put you in a concentration camp. Now, my question would be, jails are full. So where would these concentration camps be that would be large enough to lock up all of those who voted for the Democratic Party? Now, what we really have is something called TDS. That's Trump Derangement Syndrome. So the people on these whacked out news networks, BSNBC is the worst. ABC is a close second. CNN is so-so. They have the whack jobs there, but they also have those that speak from the other side, and they kind of try to keep it balanced, okay? But they were feeding everyone, feeding the frenzy, feeding these thoughts into people's minds that there would be mass deportations of U.S. citizens, that there will be concentration camps, that Donald Trump would be a Hitler-esque dictator, that there would be firing squads, people will be executed, just mass hysteria, which is so ridiculous because I was shocked that grown folks, adults, educated adults would believe these things. And you still have people on CNN. I was watching CNN today, and there was a gentleman saying that Donald Trump is going to start locking up U.S. citizens when he gets into office on January the 20th. They still believe it. But here's what point I want to make and the advice that I want to give. When you see these people, this whole group sitting here, all talking. Now, there were a few snubs. I think George Bush did not want to shake. I think he snubbed Clinton or Obama. I can't remember which. Kamala wasn't speaking to the Bidens. There was some internal beef between the Democratic Party, and Kamala did not want to look at Donald Trump and did not appear to speak to Barack Obama. Barack Obama's wife was nowhere to be found. She was off on vacation. So this was like, what is that show? The Housewives of Atlanta, the Hot Mess Housewives of Atlanta. It's a soap opera, whatever the case. So it was a mess. But overall, this is a group of people that they get along with each other and they talk. So we are given the show. We are fed the WWF. Actually, it's the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. They took away World Wrestling Federation because the WWF sued them and took the name away. But anyway, they feed us the WWE nonsense. But, okay, educated people aren't supposed to be dumb enough to believe it. Now, this should be proof enough that you are okay to use common sense and to not continue suffering Trump Derangement Syndrome because all these people get along. It was the same thing when Barack Obama made it into office. I was disgusted because the church that I used to go to, they swore that Barack Hussein Obama was just Satan incarnate, and that he was going to incite Sharia law and turn the United States into a Muslim nation, and that he was going to have Christians rounded up, arrested, and put into concentration camps. Yeah, don't you remember that? How soon we forget. So instead of the Democrats suffering from this unbelievable mental illness called Trump Derangement Syndrome. It was the Republicans who were suffering from Barack Obama Derangement Syndrome. BODS. That was a thing back then, but nobody turned it into a thing. But it was the same mental illness that we see going on today. So let this be an example. The fact that Barack Obama and Donald Trump not only can sit next to each other and laugh and talk, and you saw in the introduction, Donald Trump said they get along, and I believe that he was telling the truth when he made that statement. They like each other. Most of this is nonsense, even through all the lawfare that has gone on up until this day. They can still sit down and have a conversation and laugh. And furthermore, they can even talk policy, where it looks like Donald Trump wants to hear some insight from Barack Obama about some critical national security issues that are going around out in the world that affect the United States. So if Donald Trump can lend an ear and listen to and even reach out and say, hey, I need to get your insight on this. What a shame it is that we would sit up and think that we are at war with each other, that Democrats can never agree with Republicans and Republicans must hate all Democrats. That is so immature. And I hope that this example will shine for everyone to know that we're all United States citizens. We all live in the greatest country in the world. Whenever Barack Obama made it into office, half the population said they were moving to Canada. Whenever Donald Trump made it into office the first time, half of the United States said they were going to move to Canada. Now, the funny thing is, Canada is 10 times worse in every way, shape, and form. And I tell you what, I don't know of anyone that packed up their bags and moved to Canada. That's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard of. And we have to listen to that every single election. So life goes on. We are American citizens. We are on the same team. And when things go too far to one side, okay, it starts to normalize. Then when they go too far to the other side, well, it normalizes again. So whenever we go too far right-leaning and we're not keeping up with some of the social reform that needs to be done, when we're not funding the social programs like we should, well, things come back to the center. But then when we go so far left that we think it's okay for men to compete in women's sports, even the ones that still have their vital parts and date women, but if they say that they're a woman, then by God, they can join the swim team. To the point where the university says, if you girls don't get butt naked with this man in the shower, well, we're going to kick you off the swim team. So when things go that crazy to the left, or when we see states that don't fill up reservoirs just in case of wildfires because of a little fish, when things go crazy to the left, far off the deep end, things normalize. Now, I am going to talk about the wildfires in the next video because I got a lot to say about that, but you'll just have to wait for it. But I want you to post in the comments below, Democrats and Republicans. Now, Democrats, don't sit here and tell me that all I do is sit here and bash you guys, as I stuck up for you here, okay? And I agreed with you whenever Barack Obama became the president. I was very annoyed with the accusations and the fear-mongering about the United States becoming a Muslim nation, okay? Just as much as I'm annoyed with the mindless, psychotic babbling of people thinking that the Democrats are going to get locked up on January 20th. So post in the comments below and let me know, do you agree that this is a time to come together? Do you agree that we live in the greatest nation of the world and that things change? We swing one way, we normalize. We swing the other way, we normalize, but we end up where we need to be, and that we all must work together. Post in the comments if you agree with that, and post in the comments if you think that Barack Obama and Donald Trump showed us an example that we all need to follow. That's all I got for this one, guys. I really appreciate you all being here, and I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I got live streams coming soon. We're going to cover the latest action happening in Dalton with the worst mayor in the world, Tiffany Henyard, and then I'm going to share with you a mayor who has learned from Tiffany Henyard that is in my neck of the woods, in the city where the big arch is. And I don't mean the golden arches of McDonald's, I mean the real arch. So that's all I got for now. This is Carlton, and I am out.